Even an FD would have given you at least 5%, 6% returns. But you know how much stock markets have given? Almost 0%. The Nifty has given 0.2% and BSE has given 0.3% in the last 1 year. Yes, in the last 1 year, we have seen so many ups and downs. In September, the market went to the peak, 85,000 BSC. Then it fell in September. Again, it went up in December, but finally it kept falling in March. And then so many other news. Overvaluation of the Indian markets, the tariffs that the US has been talking about, Donald Trump's tariff has been a big news. In fact, just now I read while doing this recording that the tariff has impacted 40 companies. Now, so many things have happened, and no wonder stock market has only given 0% returns. So, have you really lost your money? Has anything given better than FD? Yes. And that's what we're going to talk about. And that is the mutual funds. So, today we will look at some of the mutual funds, especially these three categories, which are my favorite categories: large cap, flexi cap, and mid cap. We'll look at some funds, the returns, the lump sum returns, the SIP returns. And what do we learn from this last 1 year? Should you invest in stock markets for 1 year? That's what we'll see in today's video. Hello, I am Franky Fernandes. I'm a CFP, a certified financial planner. I'm also a marriage coach. I love to see families, husband and wife, investing together. And soon you will hear a lot more news about this. Stay tuned to my videos, my Instagram, and I will talk about it. I'm going to launch something new. Let's get into today's video. Stay till the end. It's a short video. We will cover some important aspects about stock markets, mutual funds in the last 1 year. What happened? So for the purpose of this video, again, as I mentioned, we'll be looking at these three categories: large cap, flexi cap, and mid caps. And why I chose these three. These three are actually my favorites. If you are conservative, you don't want to take huge risk, large cap funds are the best. In fact, one must have, whatever is your risk profile, always have some large cap funds. Second is the flexi caps. Probably this is the favorite category because this has a lot of large caps. It also has mid caps and small caps. So there is the freedom with the fund manager to choose the categories, and a lot of the flexi caps have large caps which bring that stability, and they choose the best of the mid cap and small cap funds. So really a great category. And finally, if your risk profile is very high, you want to take high risk, want to invest for several years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, nothing better than mid cap. In fact, you can watch my video which I've actually talked about mid caps as my favorite. So these are the three categories we'll look at, and we'll look at what happened to the lump sum investment in the last 1 year, all the different funds. I've pulled it from value research, and we'll also look at in the same period the SIP. And I'm sure you will like it to see, especially if you have invested, you will love looking at your own returns and looking at and watching this video. But if you haven't invested, probably you'll feel you missed. So let me share with you what has happened in the last 1 year with the lump sum investments. So here are the funds which I downloaded. These are not index funds. These are not ETFs. These are actively managed mutual funds in the large cap category. So here, if you see, these are the funds. So around, you can see around 35 funds. I've cleaned it uh, and only filtered the large cap funds. And here, if you see, uh, Motilal Oswal large cap fund has given 14.3% in the last 1 year. Of course, this is an outlier. Please, this video is not to showcase fund names and promote any funds. This is not about. Please talk to your advisor or please research and then purchase. This is not to share. The objective is not to make you purchase this fund. And this fund is fairly new fund. We do not know the track record for the last several years. So please don't jump and buy this. Nevertheless, this shows that this is an outlier. But a lot of the other funds, if you see, a lot of these funds, the positive returns, if you see, an average 2.25 positive returns in a large cap fund. So, of course, there are 5 and 3 and 3. So, definitely, at least there are these funds, there are 16 funds which have given better returns than the index, where it is the lowest probably in that is 1.19, yes, and the highest is 14.3. But there are also funds which have given less than the index returns. So there are these 18 funds which have given less returns, and a lot of them have given negative returns. And quant focused and JM large cap has given almost 8% negative returns, right? So if you see here this chart shows actually a lot of the funds are at the top, but there are also funds at the bottom. Now, this is the large cap category. So if you had invested just randomly in any one fund, the probability that you would have got a right fund, a good fund, a positive fund, a fund that has given positive returns would be 46%. 50% chances of getting a good fund. So that is what it tells us. Nevertheless, there are good returns here, which is a good thing, that at least there are 16 funds which could have given you good returns. Now let's take a look at the Flexi Cap. Here, the Flexi Cap, here, if you see the Flexi Cap, while the large caps, we had 35 funds. In the Flexi Cap category, we have got 80 funds. This category has a lot of funds. Probably the favorite category also for fund houses. So again, the same story. You've got one outlier, which is given 11.5%. That is Bandhan Focus Fund, which is a Flexi Cap. It came in the Flexi Cap category. It is given 11.48%. Well, that's an outlier, but there are a lot of other funds which have given very good returns. If you see here, better than the index returns are at least 48 funds, while a lot of the other funds are in single digit, but you have some very good returns here. You've got Parag Parikh, one of the favorite funds for many, Motilal Oswal, Invesco, and see the returns. So at least there are 14 funds which have given you above 5%, 6% and above. Then there are these at least 10 funds which have given 4 to 5%. So a lot of funds have given very good returns. Of course, there are also negatives here. You've got even minus 15%, minus 12, minus 10. If you look at large cap category, the downside was very low, minus 7%. But here the downside is quite high. In fact, uh, 10 and more, you've got 4 funds and got other 2 funds, which is the negative 9, 10, 12, 15% returns. So what does this tell us? This tells us that flexi cap is a higher, far riskier category, obviously because there is a mid cap and small cap component. But what is the probability? The probability, if you had purchased any one fund, picked one fund from this, 63 percentage probability, that is 63 percentage probability that you would have got a positive fund, which is higher than the large cap category, right? And here, if you see the chart here, again, it shows us that there are a lot more funds which have given positive returns, and it's quite high here, whereas the index could have been here somewhere. Index returns are here, but here you've got very good returns from the flexi cap. Of course, the risk is very high. You've got huge downside also. Now let's take a look at the mid cap category. What does the mid cap category tell us? Now the mid cap category also has something similar. There is an outlier, 13.79% in Mesco India, but the rest of them have given decent returns. So you've got the universe of funds are around 30. We had in FlexiCap, we had 80. We had 35 in the large cap category. Now in mid cap, we've got 30. And some very good returns, 7.16%, 5.67%. So very good, quite a good returns here you've got. But we have also got negative returns. Now the negative is 11 minus 11.92, but there are others who have given probably 5 or less than 5%. So this also tells us that the risk is high. The large cap, the negative was the worst. The maximum was minus 7.6. Flexi cap 15, and here it is 11. Surprisingly, Flexi Cap have shown much more volatility compared to mid cap. So mid cap also we have, again, it tells us that mid caps are riskier than the large caps. And if you look at this chart, you've got very few funds which have got negative, but more funds have given positive. And if you had invested in any one fund randomly, you would have got 63% probability of getting a good fund. So what does this tell about lump sum investing in mutual funds? That there is a possibility of getting good returns even if the market doesn't do well, which means we must credit the good fund managers in our country who are able to generate alpha for the investors. And alpha is basically above the benchmark. So fund managers have given good returns. So if you had invested with a good fund, probably researched, seen their track record and invested, you might have got a good fund giving good returns far more than the index. But the second lesson we learn here is that any fund or the stock market is risky for 1 year. Don't invest in 1 year. Don't invest for a year. And what if you had invested for 5 years or above? You can watch my video where I've clearly explained after how many years your investment in the stock markets become risk free. Please watch that. But here, for this video's purpose, I've actually downloaded 5 year data for all these three categories to show us what are the type of returns we have got. Is it okay to invest for 5 years as opposed to 1 year? Let's see. So here you have the 3 year return maximum. The highest returns has been 21%, but on an average, you have funds which have given 19, 18, 17, 16, 15 good returns. What has the market given? The market in the same 3 year period has given 10.72%. Again, we must congratulate the fund managers for getting some good returns as high as 21%. Even if we take that as outlier, probably 21. But if you look at other funds, there are a lot of these funds which have really, really generated good returns. And it means the difference is huge, which means if you had invested lump sum 1 lakh rupees 3 years back in the market in the last 3 years, 1 lakh 35, and at 17% average returns in 3 years, you would have got 1 lakh 60 from mutual funds. Same way, for 5 years, you would have got 2 lakh 9,000, more than double from the market index. You would have got 2.5 lakh from funds on an average 20%. There are funds which have given more. And 1 lakh would have become 3 lakh 7 and 3 lakh 39. Again, want to appreciate the fund managers in our country who have generated good returns. If you look at it here, 10.72. All the funds have given more than the index. Here, the market returns is 15.90. All the funds have given more than that. In fact, there are funds which have given much more. In the last 10 years, yes, the index has beaten some of the funds. For example, around 25 funds, you've got 5 funds which have given less than the index. Nevertheless, the average returns is 13% in the last 10 years. But mutual funds, sorry, the index has given around 12% average returns in the last 10 years. But some of the funds have given even as high as 15%, the large cap funds, but on an average, they've given 13%. So definitely the mutual funds have done better than the market in the last 3, 5, and 10 years. Now let's take a look at the mid cap funds. What do we see compared to the markets? Now, I have used the Nifty Midcap 100 as the index for these funds. So let's take a look at the 3 year. We've got 30, 28, 25, huge returns, amazing returns. The index in the last 3 years has given 21%. That means if you had invested in Nifty Midcap 100 index fund, you would have got at least 22%. And what does that mean really? Let's calculate. It means if you had invested 3 years ago, you would have got around 22% returns from the index. But on an average, Mid cap funds would have given you 23%. Yes, that is the average, but there are funds which have given even 26%, or there are funds which have even given 30, 28, and 25% also. But here, and this 1 lakh would have become 1 lakh 81,000, whereas in a mid cap fund, it would become 1 lakh 86. Similarly, for 5 years, 1 lakh would have become 3.35, and in a fund, it would have become 3.57. In an index, it would have given you 4.39 lakhs, and in fund, it would have given you 4.8. So the message is very clear that fund managers have generated alpha, better returns than the index, but the index returns are also not bad. They are amazing returns for the mid cap. And if you're wondering, we started talking about 1 year, then why are we talking about 3 years and 5 years and 10 years? To emphasize that you will never have negative returns over a long period or a long term investing. For 3 years, I don't usually consider 3 years as long term. 5 years is best because in 3 years also you can get negative returns, but 5 years and above, you have higher chances of getting positive returns. So if you're investing lump sum in the stock markets or the mutual funds, never invest for a year, although some funds may give you positive returns, but there is a probability that you can get negative returns. So the best thing is to have 5 years and above. Now, this was about lump sum. Now, the best is yet to come, and that is about the SIPs. And I have just taken the 1 year SIP. 3 years and 5 years and 10 years, I'm not taken. I've spoken a lot about those SIPs in my earlier videos. Please watch them. But in this 1 year, where you've got almost 0% returns from the stock market, lump sum returns, what has SIPs given? Let's take a quick look at some of the top funds. So here is the SIPs. Canara Robeco, large cap fund, 12.87. And what was the lump sum returns? Canara Robeco was 3.84. But the SIP has given 12.87. ICICI Prudential large cap, 13.53% SIP returns for the last 12 months. And what was the returns here? 2.7%, 1.67%. So what does this tell us? SIPs are still the best. If you do your monthly SIPs every month, whatever happens to the market goes up and down, whatever happens, even if the market is 0% returns in the last 1 year, your SIPs will always give you, because of the ups and downs, you benefit. Now, these are the top funds. What about some of the bottom funds? So I took one of the bottom funds, Quant Large Cap. It is 3.69 percentage. And what has it given here? Minus 4.8%. So even if the lump sum hasn't moved much, 0% or negative returns, there is a possibility that if you do an SIP in any fund, you will get some good returns. And this is just 1 year returns. Let's take a quick look at the Flexi Cap. So you've got Invesco Flexi Cap, 19.53%. ICICI Prudential, 13.78%. Parag Parikh, 15.9. What have they given? Invesco, ICICI, and Parag Parikh. Invesco, 8.3%. ICICI, 7.7%. Parag Parikh, 8.83. They're all in one digit. And here they are in double digit, 20%, 14%, 16%. And also Nippon Flexi Cap, 3.96. What is it got here? Nippon India Flexi Cap, minus 2.50. But with an SIP, it has given 3.96%. Now let's take a quick look at the mid cap. Again here, Nippon India Growth mid cap, 18%, 20%, Kotak mid cap, HDFC mid cap, 18%. And what have they? Nippon, Kotak, and HDFC. Nippon, 2.79, Kotak, 4.32, and HDFC, 3.4. All 1, 2, 3, 4%. But when you see here, the Flexi Cap, the SIP returns are so high. And what about UTI? Here is a positive 3.96%. What is it here? Minus 3.35. So what does this tell us? Don't try to time the market. If you had invested a year back, lump sum, you would have got probably negative returns or very low positive returns, but not much. Here in an SIP, you get high returns. So, what is the learning from this 1 year investing? We started with FDs giving better returns than the stock market because the stock markets have given almost 0% returns. But at the same time, funds have given good positive returns. Also, although there are some funds which have given negative returns. So we have to be careful for 1 year returns. 1 year is a very, very short period for actually judging the returns. Whereas 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years are all positive returns. So the message is that go for long term when it comes to mutual funds or stock markets because positive returns are guaranteed over a longer period of time. But the winner are the SIPs. Even in just 1 year, the markets haven't moved, but the SIPs have given great returns, very good returns, double digit returns. So, my message to you today is that continue your SIPs. Do not go and time the market. Focus on your other things. Let the fund managers work for you. Mutual funds have given great returns. Invest your money with the experts, and you will make money for sure. Hope there is some learning from today's video. Uh, you can also watch my previous videos on SIPs. I am a strong proponent of mutual funds and SIPs, and you would have seen through my videos. So happy investing. God bless. If you liked, please give a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please join the community and be a part of this community. There are some exciting things I'm going to announce shortly about my community. So until I see you again, bye for now.